In this video, I'll show you how to use Blender to hide or replace a specific element in a footage. For example, as in these cases, I'd like to get rid of these windows. It is also useful if we want to add some new content, such as a new object. Most of the time, this is done in compositing software like After Effects, Mocha, or Fusion. However, it is also interesting knowing how to do this in Blender, because it can reveal some hidden features that you may have overlooked. You can follow along with this tutorial by downloading this video and giving it a shot yourself. You must first open the motion tracking pane in Blender. And now, import the video. If we want to add or remove something from a video, we must first figure out how to track the video's movement. As a result, the new image will move in the same direction as the original footage. The planar tracking technique is the best way to accomplish this. This technique, as the name implies, involves tracking a planar surface so that software can compute its motion, rotation, and deformation as a result of a perspective change. To track the movement of a surface, we must track a large number of markers. As in this example, these markers must be placed on the same planar surface. As a result, you cannot add the markers that are lying on the ground. They must all be part of the same plane. Let's take a look at how to do it in Blender. The first step is to select the frame range you want to use. Consider a range with a clear view of the surface you want to work on. For instance, I chose the second half of the video, from about frame 320 to 480. As previously stated, we must track some markers. We can do this automatically by clicking the Detect Features button in the track pane. Blender basically looks for markers with enough contrast to be easily followed in their movement. We can also choose how many features to detect by reducing the distance between them. However, as previously mentioned, we only want to detect features on this surface. We could manually delete the ones we don't need, or we could narrow the search to a specific region. Move to a frame where the front of the house is visible and not obscured by trees. Delete all of the markers we made. As usual in Blender, simply press the X key. Now, using the annotation pencil, draw the area you want to select. Redetect the features, but this time select Inside Annotation Area from the related menu. Reduce the distance as well, so that we can track a large number of markers. You might think they're all from the same plane, but if you look closely, you'll notice that some of them are on the window frames. This shouldn't be a problem in this case, because they are on close planes, but in order to define a general workflow, let's only select the markers on the wall. You can do so by pressing the C key. We must now actually track the markers. You can do so by selecting the Track Markers button. Each feature's movement is tracked. Now we have to get rid of the markers that aren't being tracked properly. Click the Filter Tracks button in the Solve pane. Essentially, this selects all problematic markers in relation to a predefined threshold. You can start with the default value to ensure that it only selects markers with spikes in their movement along the different axes. The graph below depicts the movement along each axis. Now that we have a large number of markers in the same plane, we must create a plane track. Simply click the Create Plane Track button to get started. And, yes, we now have a plane track. It moves in the same way as the real surface. And this is exactly what we desire. The following step is to use this plane as a deforming guide for the new image we want to add. But first of all, we require this image. As previously stated, We can use this technique to either remove or add something. In both cases, we must prepare the desired image. Before we do so, keep in mind that when we add this image to the compositing stage, it will be scaled to be the same size and proportion as the plane track we created. As a result, it might be a good idea to take a picture of this plane in order to get the right image proportions. To remove one of the windows, save a frame from your video. And open it in a photo editing software, in my case Photoshop. Now, using the content-aware fill, delete the window and refine it as desired. Open the previous snapshot and examine its dimensions. Finally, crop the image to the same proportions and save it to your hard drive. Now return to Blender and select the Compositing tab. Activate the Use Nodes checkbox and remove the Render Layers node because we do not want to render any 3D objects. Now we need to open the video. So add a movie clip node and select the appropriate video. Add a viewer node to make it visible as a background. Now we must import the image we want to add and make it follow the plane track we previously created. Insert the image. And plane track deform nodes. This is the node that performs the magic. By deforming and moving the image in the same way that the plane track does. Connect the image to this node, and then add an alpha over node to composite the image over the video. As you can see, the image moves as the video below. To resize and move the image, you can also add a scale and transform node. However, we have a problem. I'd like to specify the precise area to be replaced. Only this one in our case. Furthermore, the image's borders are clearly visible. And we want to create a smoother transition. To do so, we must first create a mask that defines the precise area we want to cover. Let's return to the motion tracking pane. Select Mask from the drop-down menu. This is where we can design and modify our masks. Simply press the Control button and click to add a new point. Then, to close the shape, press the Toggle Cyclic button. Now we must connect the mask to the plane track, so that it moves as expected. Select all of the mask's points, then click on the plane track. And select Make Parent from the Mask menu. The mask now moves in sync with the plane track. Return to the compositing pane. The idea is to use this mask as the alpha over node's mix factor. Add the mask node and choose the mask we just made. Connect this node to the factor input of the alpha over node. We were able to mask the image exactly as we desired. As a final step, we must smooth the mask's borders. We can accomplish this by simply adding a blur node. As a result, we have a smooth transition between the image and the video below. Now that you've mastered the technique, you can put it to use by incorporating new elements. For instance, in this case, I added a new window over this composition. Basically, I made a window image and exported it as a transparent PNG file. As before, I added a plane track deform node and composited it with the previous compositing result. In order to better match the video below, I also added some nodes to color correct the window. You can also use a corner pin node to change the image's initial perspective projection. You can now experiment with any video you want. However, keep in mind that this technique works best when the surface to be tracked is clearly visible, and the camera movement is smooth and slow.